Moin, ihr wunderbare Menschen des Interwebs. Ich begrüße euch ganz herzlich zurück zu meinem Let's Play von The Great Ace-Attorney Chronicles. Wir haben den ersten Part und den ersten Teil der ersten Verhandlung gut hinter uns gebracht, würde ich einmal so behaupten. Und haben jetzt doch noch dieses Geheimnis gelüftet um diese, ja, britische Dame. Und die werden wir wohl jetzt gleich als nächstes verhören müssen. Excellent work, Ryunosuke. That was superb. My heart was in my mouth the entire time. It was almost unbelievable. I mean, looking at you, and there. You were drenched in sweat, your eyes popping, your knees knocking, and you were grinding your teeth. It was a grim sight, but before I knew it, you'd started finding inconsistencies in the testimonies. I think you might have a natural talent for being a lawyer. Forget it, it's terrifying. If I get through this, I don't ever want to see the inside of a courtroom again. Anyway, it looks like we have exposed our phantom lady at last. Miss Jessie Brett, a student from Great Britain, is she? That's what I was trying to tell everyone from the start. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone. There was a young woman with him, like I've been saying all along. Yes, you have, haven't you? I might not be overfly confident in the courtroom, but my powers of observation are one thing I'm sure of. Yes, I can see that. So, about this young gentlewoman. Thanks to our detective friend, she was hastily escorted away from the scene, it seems. Did you see what happened with that? No, I didn't see any of it. I was just on my way out of the restaurant myself. Then, on the floor next to Dr. Wilson's table, I noticed there was a gun lying on the floor. And just after I bent down and picked it up, I didn't have time to think about where the sound of the gunshot had come from. The waiter ran over to me, looking as white as a sheet, and he bundled me into some sort of small pantry next to the kitchen. Fast thinking by the detective, he apprehended his suspect without a moment's delay. Yes, and because I was shut in the pantry, I have no idea what happened outside in the dining area. Ah, there you are. Well done, both of you. Professor Mikotoba. Well, it seems I was right. The pair of you make an outstanding team. You've exceeded my expectations, I have to say. Yes, it seems you planned this from the start. You arranged things so that I wouldn't be able to act as a lawyer in this trial. Our modern country is still in its infancy, our justice system even more though. So, which is why I firmly believe that we need to send our brightest young stars overseas to learn all they can. I wanted to avoid a situation that may have resulted in your study tour to Great Britain being cancelled. Well, it makes no difference, lawyer or otherwise, if I'm the kind of man who can't help his best friend avert the worst crisis of his life. I shouldn't waste everyone's time by going to study overseas anyway. What are you saying, Kazuma? So that's your stance. I was afraid you would feel that way. Kazuma. Well then, it looks like it all comes down to you, young man. To me? Yes, you need to prove your innocence and uncover what really took place in that restaurant. I must say I very much want to know the truth. After all, I have a personal connection to this case. Come to think of it, he said the same thing earlier this morning, didn't he? If you don't mind me asking, Professor, did you know the victim? Yes, I did. As you're probably aware, Dr. John H. Wilson was a visiting professor at the UME, and it was I who invited him. Oh, I see. I didn't know that before. Anyway, you're about to go into battle. The victim was a university professor from Great Britain, and a well-known one at that. Naturally, our government is looking to identify and punish the culprit as quickly as possible. But let's not for... Ach ja, im letzten Part habe ich, glaube ich, gesagt, Kulprit. Ich habe noch nie dieses Wort also ich habe dieses Wort tatsächlich noch nicht ausgesprochen. Ich habe es auch vergessen, jetzt gerade nachzugoogeln, wie die Aussprache ist. Es heißt, ich habe das Wort mit Mörder in Verbindung gebracht, also mit dem Wort Mörder in Verbindung gebracht. Das ist nicht ganz richtig. Culprit ist eigentlich Täter. Aber dadurch, dass ja in diesem Fall der Täter der Mörder ist, habe ich das Wort jetzt mit Mörder in Verbindung gebracht. Aber eigentlich ist Culprit mehr, also ist ein Täter. Also, wenn man es übersetzen würde, heißt es mehr Täter. But let's not forget who we're going up against. The gentlewoman whose involvement our police bureau went to extraordinary lengths to hide. Yes, and I'm sure that prosecution will be using every tool at their disposal to crush your case. But I've no doubt that you pair will put up a good fight right to the last. Best of luck. Thank you. Mein Gott. Now then. I need you to run an errand at the university at once. There's something I think we may need. Of course. Good luck, Kazuma-sama. Defendant Naruhodo. Court recess is over. Please make your way back inside the courtroom at once. It's time. Let's get back to it, partner. Let's go in there and deal a decisive blow. Before those old fossils know what hit them. Kazuma... What? Thank you, really. What for? Well, if you hadn't said you believed in me, then I'm fairly sure I'd already have been found guilty by now. Look, I have faith in you. As a lawyer and as a friend. Coming from you, that means a lot. If I'm found guilty in this trial, he's really going to give up on his dream of studying abroad. That's the kind of true friend he is. So this isn't just my battle anymore. Whoever we are up against, we absolutely cannot afford to lose. Ich muss übrigens hier auch mal ganz kurz sagen, ich liebe den Soundtrack. Also ich finde den Soundtrack ja unfassbar gut. Alright then. I will save the thank yous for after the trial. You can treat me to one of those sukiyaki meals I like from Yumio Cafeteria on University Street. With an extra large portion, of course. Und ich hatte auch versucht, die Namen zu googeln, aber ich habe da leider nichts gefunden. Ich habe da leider nichts gefunden zu den Namen. Und deswegen werde ich die wahrscheinlich weiterhin katastrophal aussprechen. Ich wollte einmal ganz kurz was bei der Key-Konfiguration nachgucken. Confirm, Cancel, Present History. Chat Evidence. Look gibt es dann auch noch. Okay, HNBM. Cancel Present History. Okay. Ich weiß leider nicht, ob man das eben so überspringen kann, dass das hier, dass man dieses Geschreibsel, dieses Getippe überspringt. The court hereby resumes the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Prosecutor... Ich weiß echt nicht, wie man es ausspricht. Ich glaube, Achi ist auch nicht ganz richtig. Aochi? Maybe? Aochi? Have you managed to subpoena the witness? Und das war auch falsch ausgesprochen. Yes, Your Excellency, against all odds. And thanks to a certain young stripling, the prosecution is now under rather painful scrutiny. What? Scrutiny? Scrutiny? From the government. Sorry. Let the government scrutinize. That's their job. It's nothing to worry about. Wie gesagt, ich entschuldige mich jetzt hier das letzte Mal dafür. Ich werde Wörter falsch aussprechen, weil ich einfach viele Wörter nicht im alltäglichen Englisch benutzen werde und deswegen einfach nicht weiß, wie man die Wörter ausspricht. Auch wenn ich weiß, was sie bedeuten, kann es trotzdem sein, dass ich einfach, dadurch, dass ich sie noch nie selber ausgesprochen habe oder gehört habe, einfach nicht weiß, wie man sie richtig korrekt ausspricht. It's highly unlikely that the good relations we have forged with Great Britain will emerge from this trial unscathed. Will you still think it's nothing to worry about when the new treaty breaks down on our nation founders? Again, terribly sorry. If the friendship between our nations is really so fragile, then the treaty isn't worth the paper it's written on. You really have nothing to worry about, Ryunosuke. What do you mean? A secret trial, anxiety over some foreign government's opinions, a bungled investigation, missing witnesses. Bangled? Is this what our nation's justice system is? Is this the Supreme Court of Japan or of England? Shut up, you jumped up rookie boy. You and your friend know nothing of the situation our nation finds itself in. By aligning ourselves with this great world power, we will become strong. Diplomacy has never been more critical. Ich glaube, das ist auch Diplomacy. Steady political maneuvering is what will secure our futures. Es tut mir übrigens leid, dass ich mich auch manchmal versuche, selbst zu verbessern, aber ich würde eben sehr gerne die richtige Aussprache auch für mich selbst lernen, um mir das gleich anzueignen, richtig. I won't deny that I'm no expert. I'm just a student, and one who could arguably study harder too. But standing here now in our Supreme Court, there is one thing that I feel very strongly. A country that fails to uphold the truth in its justice system is a country with no future at all. Well said, Ryunosuke, despite the wide-eyed look of terror. You little brats! Thank you, Counsel. This court is the pinnacle of our nation's justice system and exists solely for the pursuance of truth. With that in mind, this trial will now resume with the next witness taking the stand. The visiting student from Great Britain, Miss Jecile Brett. Yes. Your Excellency. Oh, hat das nicht wehgetan? Schirm am Kopf auf dem Tisch hier. Ach, du meine Güte. Was ist denn das für ein Hut, ey? Well, what a delight it is to welcome such a fine gentlewoman to Japan and from such a distant land. Tea, someone bring English tea. In England, no discussions take place without tea. Is that true? No idea. So, could we possibly trouble you to state your name and occupation for the court? Of course. My name is Satoru Hosonaga. I have been working undercover as the head waiter at La Carnival. Yes, we know all about you already. Inspector Hosonaga, where are your manners? In England, it's always ladies first. Is that true? No idea. More importantly, a little earlier today you said something to me. You said your powers of observation are the one thing you're sure of. Oh, yes, I think I did, didn't I? Yet your description for this amazing sight was simply a woman? Sorry, Ryunosuke, but powers of observation aside, your powers of description are sorely lacking. Guilty. So, dear lady, once again, if we may trouble you for your name and occupation, please. I'm terribly sorry, dear lady, but what? The lady says her name is Jecile Brett. She comes from London, England. She's a visiting research student currently enrolled in the University's medical faculty. Oh my, what a rare treat to hear the dulcet tones of the delightful language of the British people. I'm afraid I don't understand a word you said, but it was as beautiful as Hummingbird's song. As far as I can tell, the detective is translating her words faithfully enough. Yes, I agree. You will obviously do fine in England, Kazuma. Her English doesn't rattle you at all, does it? Nor you. You've clearly been paying attention in your English classes, Ryunosuke. The court thanks the beautiful lady for taking the stand. Now, if we may trouble you to confirm something, Miss Brett. 3 days ago, at a restaurant called Lacona, while a grim murder took place, the court has been led to believe that you were dining there with the victim, Dr. Wilson, at the time. Is that correct? She says yes. This could take some time. So even though she's studying here in Japan, she can't speak any Japanese? She would like to apologize for disappearing from the scene. She says that she was due to make a presentation at the university, so she had to leave immediately. Interesting, when you're the one who engineered her escape. I was just following special orders from the bureau. Well now, dear lady, would you be so kind as to cast your eyes over this photographic print? Seeing as you were so unfortunately present at the scene of the crime, could it be that your resplendent eyes caught sight of the wicked predator, perhaps? Apparently it was a very frightening and sorrowful sight. Do you mean to say... Yes, it would appear the lady did witness the crime. The very moment when the accused standing right there in this courtroom shot the victim in cold blood. Also haben wir jetzt schon mal unsere Mörderin gefunden. Wenn sie jetzt auch ihn beschuldigt, gehe ich mal stark davon aus, dass sie die wahre Täterin ist. Order in court. Did you hear that, Your Excellency? Here we have an absolutely conclusive witness statement. Well, it looks like it's clear now. Clear who our real enemy is. Unfortunately, I will have to ask you to formally testify, if you please. Kindly tell the court the exact nature of this frightening and sorrowful sight you described. Ich bin gespannt. Okay, a frightening and sorrowful sight. I had arranged to meet for a slightly late luncheon with Dr. Wilson that day. The professor was unable to eat, so I ordered for myself only, a beefsteak. After a while, the accused came over to greet the professor and they got into a fierce argument. Then, not long afterwards, the accused took the professor's gun and shot him right before my eyes. I don't carry a gun myself, so obviously I couldn't have been the culprit. No, I didn't have any kind of argument with the professor at all. Quiet, you filthy wretch! Look at you, you blank-hearted blackguard, and I look at this snow-white angel. I'm sure even a dark-minded scoundrel like you can imagine whose words the court is going to believe. You're still making the same mistakes, Ryunosuke. You mustn't blurt out when you're goaded like that. That's a lesson you need to learn. But he's so annoying. Of course, I was at the scene as well. I took statements from this lady and the two witnesses who testified before and reported back to the bureau. It was decided that Miss Brett was not involved, so I let her go. The testimonies of the last two witnesses were completely worthless, however. Well, even so, on the day in question, the lady was wearing the same outfit as she is today. As you can see, there is nowhere about her person where she could conceal a firearm. I would think she could hide a gun almost anywhere in that outfit if she wanted to. Unless and until the precise location where the witness is to have hidden a weapon can be shown, this is moot. There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. Those are the witness's own words on the matter. That's ridiculous. If only I was allowed to lift up her dress, I could prove it. Don't think about doing anything rash, Ryunosuke. But I didn't fire the gun. I picked it up. There must have been another gun there that day. Da habe übrigens gerade einen Schreibfehler drin, glaube ich. You're right about that, which means this lady was hiding a gun somewhere. Yes, that's what we have to prove now. And to do so, we will need to pull her testimony apart. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. Oh, yes, Your Excellency. Okay, schauen wir mal. I had arranged to meet for some Dr. Wilson that day. The professor was unable to eat, so I ordered for myself only a beefsteak. He was unable to eat, you say? And that was because he just had a tooth removed at Hotta Clinic, correct? That's right. You're supposed to actually check with the witness before answering. Was Miss Brett aware of that fact? It seems so, yes. She'd heard that the professor was to have some dental treatment. So that would mean that it was you who ate this steak pictured here. Is that right, Miss Brett? That's right, yes. The print you have there shows the table exactly as it was left after the horrifying events. Exactly as it was left? Dear me, what a harrowing experience to have traveled to a distant island on the far side of the world and be embroiled in such a tragic incident. Have no fear, my dear lady. I swear I will crush the evil fiend that has subjected you to this terrible plight. So the victim, Dr. Wilson, had nothing to eat or drink at all? That's right, other than some carbonated water. Just water? Yes, the professor was unable to eat, but he had been given permission to drink water, so it appears that the diners toasted their lunch with a glass of water each. They each raised a glass of carbonated water? What do you think, Ryunosuke, about the witness's last statement? The last statement of yours, Miss Brett, has a profound bearing on this case. Well, well, how fascinating. To tell us what is this profound bearing, The significance of the statement will become apparent when the time is right. The defense calls for the witness's last statement to be formally added to the testimony. Well sidestepped, counsel. Very well, Miss Brett, kindly repeat what you just said to be added to your official testimony. Gladly, she said. That was brilliant, Kazuma. I'm going to remember that one. Which one? The significance will become apparent when the time is right. I could really use that phrase. I would hope there are some more useful tips you're picking up from this experience than that, Ryunosuke. I ordered a beefsteak for myself and the professor and I said cheers over a glass of carbonated water. So, und hier ist jetzt ein Widerspruch. Und zwar... weil, wenn wir uns... das hier mal angucken, hier steht nur ein Glas und das sieht mir eher nach einem Weinglas aus. That's it. Let me just confirm something, please. It's to do with this it has to do with this photographic print. Just a short while ago, you spoke of this print showing the victim's table at the crime scene. That it was exactly as it was left. That is correct, the lady says. Well, that is, it's odd, very odd. Dear me, what's odd is the defense's inability to express itself. Ryunosuke, what is it about the print that looks odd to you? Well, obviously it's the cheers. The cheers? Miss Brett just told us that she and the professor said cheers over a glass of water. But if that's true, There should be 2 glasses on the table, not 1. You're quite right, Counsel. There's only 1 glass pictured here. Are we supposed to be impressed by this nitpicking over minuity? What possible difference does the presence or absence of a glass make on the case? Could it be that the detective here removed the glass from the table to conceal the lady's presence? Of course not. I would never do something so reckless. But there should have been 2 glasses on the table. Or are you going to try to tell me you can clink with only 1? Clink? Drink? Only 1? Oder clink? Clink. Ist das ein Wort? Ich habe das noch nie gehört. You're quite right. I certainly took 2 glasses to the table. Inspector, what did the lady say? It would seem that it was Miss Brett who took the glass from the table. What? It was also terrifying, everything that happened. I panicked and thought I should try to hide the fact that I've been there at all, she's saying. Good gracious. Sorry. There, as I assured the court before, this is of no consequence at all. Oh, please. We must remember that this student had just murdered this lady's luncheon companion before her very eyes. Who could blame her for concealing a glass or 2 in her state of disarray? That's absurd. Oh, really? So do we take it what you are now going to accuse this vulnerable, young and beautiful woman of mischief? What? No. This can't be put down to mischief. I would like to know exactly how the lady took the glass from the scene. It would seem that she slipped it into a small handbag she was carrying. A handbag, you say? Yes, Your Excellency, a small handheld pouch commonly carried by well-to-do women in England. So the beautiful lady has very graciously explained how and why she removed the glass from the scene now. However, the fact remains that this glass has absolutely no bearing on the case. This student has been trying to confuse the court with logical reasoning, but in the end it comes to nothing. No more pretentious accusations, you have wasted enough time already. Indeed, the lady has offered a satisfactory explanation as to why she removed this glass. I think, henceforth, we can consider the matter to have no bearing on the case. Counsel for the defense, are you in agreement? Well, I don't know, really. If you want to pursue this matter further, you're going to need to show that it has some deeper significance. Yes, you're right. So, she took the glass away in her handbag. If there's a deeper significance there, it's... Wait, the lady put the glass in her handbag, you say? Yes. Do try to keep up. It's already been explained to the court that all English gentlewomen carry handbags for small items. Let me see. A little while ago, Miss Brett stated the following. There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. But what she forgot to mention was her handbag, in which it would be perfectly possible to conceal a gun. You're right. Well done, partner. I had a feeling you would pick up on that, too. What are you insinuating, you vile blackguard? It's really very simple. The gunshot was heard when the defendant picked up the gun from the restaurant floor. As he didn't fire the gun, we can deduce there must have been another firearm at the scene. The true murder weapon, if you will. You can seriously be suggesting Inspector Hosonaga. Yes. Did you or did you not search Miss Cecile Brett's handbag on the day of the murder? No, sir, I did not. As I thought. In other words, another gun, the one that was actually used to kill the professor, could have been hidden in Miss Bratt's handbag. What is the meaning of this, Inspector? The meaning of what, Prosecutor? Why on earth did you not have the lady open her handbag and show you the contents at the time? Thanks to your bungling incompetence, now she has to endure these uncomfortable accusations. Brilliant work, partner. Now we have a chance to expose the real woman behind the mask. Do you think so, Kazuma? Gott, ich habe ja auch gleich Angst, dass die hier mir gleich abnippelt, ne, der Typ. Well, what a sorry situation. Clearly, you have no faith in the police. As I said, I did not search the lady's handbag after the shooting, simply because it was unnecessary. Unnecessary in what way? I ought to thank the student lawyer, really. I have a piece of evidence here that I had completely forgotten about. This photographic print. This print is of a photograph that I thought would be prudent to take immediately after the shooting. As you can see, it clearly shows Miss Bratt's handbag. Well, you can see right through to what's inside. That's right. Apparently, meshwork bags like these are the height of fashion in London at the moment. So the contents are clearly visible. Exactly, so there was no need to search the lady's handbag. If there had been a gun inside, it would have been immediately obvious. As you can see, there's nothing to imply Miss Bratt's guilt here. Thank you for helping to prove that, Naruhodo-san. Order, order. Inspector Hosonaga, you will submit the print as evidence at once. Certainly, Your Excellency. The photograph of the handbag has been entered into the court record. Okay, das würde ich mir gerne gleich einmal genauer angucken. I think you've had long enough to cross-examine the witness counsel. The court has now been shown considerably evidence. As the photographic print just submitted into the court record appears to have no further significance. Okay, bevor ihr hier jetzt weiterredet, gucken wir uns das jetzt einmal an hier. Was ist das denn hier? Sieht aus wie ein Bulle. I am satisfied that there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Indeed, and there is only one logical conclusion, that the pathetic rookie slumped over the bench before us is the only possible perpetrator of this crime. Perpetrator. No, just when I thought I was beginning to turn things around, I'm in a worse situation than I was at the start. Kazuma? I'm sorry, Ryunosuke. Now that the cross-examination of the witness is over, there is no way to force the trial to continue. What? You mean this is it? I must say you put up quite a fight for a rookie student, but the weak are meat while the strong eat. You were wasting your time. There is no way to defeat true justice. A fact you can chew on to your heart's content from the inside of your cell. This can't be happening. Am I really going to be found guilty of a crime that I didn't commit? And Kazuma. His dream of going to study in Great Britain will slip through his fingers. Kazuma, what? Is there really no chance now of turning this trial around? You heard the judge. There's nothing about the last photograph the detective produced that we can contest, which means there's no basis on which we can argue for the trial to continue. Very well, I will now proceed immediately to the ruling. It seems you will be able to report to the British government on time after all. Let's smock a little. Ryunosuke Naruhodo, having considered all of the evidence placed before me, I hereby... Wait, Your Excellency. Ryunosuke. I don't think you can rule on this case yet. This amateurishness is getting tedious. When His Excellency deems that the trial is over, he gives his ruling. That is the most basic protocol of the courtroom. Your Excellency, just a moment ago you said this. As the photographic print just submitted appears to have no further significance, there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Now, that means that if there was a problem with the evidence, some significant detail I mean, then ruling on the case at this time would be out of the question. This is blood and straw clutching. Look at this photographic print. All it shows is the handbag the gentlewoman was carrying on the day in question. There can be no problem with this evidence. You better know what you're doing, Ryunosuke. I understand your objection, counsel. Certainly, the new evidence submitted by the detective has not undergone the court's... However, I fail to see how we can glean any new information from this handbag. My thoughts exactly. Really, the prosecution is becoming tired of this rookie's desperate wheezes. Yes, I am desperate, but this isn't a wheeze. There's something about this photograph which just doesn't seem right. If only I could put my finger on it. Very well, I will grant the defense one final opportunity. What? But be warned that if I'm unsatisfied by your response here, the trial will be over with immediate effect. Mein Gott, der Hammer ist riesig. Do I make myself clear? Yes, Your Excellency. So, take another look at the photographic print Inspector Hosonaga submitted before. You will identify for the court where in this print we see the significant detail to which you have alluded. Oh, oops. Nee. Durfte ich jetzt hin? Ach, R ist present, okay. Ich habe E gedrückt. Look at this here. There's a very unusual mark on the victim's wrist. That is true. It looks almost like a burn of some description. Dear me, I was pondering what new piffle you would come out with. A burn, you say, on the victim's wrist. Clearly that has nothing whatsoever to do with the magnificent lady's handbag. Yes, that is a burn mark, you're right. Go on, Inspector. The police coroner also noticed that when he was performing the post-mortem examination, it was deemed unrelated to the cause of death, so he didn't note it in his report. What did I tell you? In any case, we have no idea when the victim suffered this burn, do we? And no possible way of knowing either. Meant. Ich glaube... Ich glaube schon, dass wir wissen, wann er diese Brandwunde bekommen hat. The more I look at it, the more I find myself intrigued by the curious shape of this mark. However, as prosecutor points out, unless a firm connection to the case can be shown, I cannot allow any further time to be spent on the precise details of this burn. Excuse me, Your Excellency. It would seem Miss Brett has a lunch appointment with the Dean and other university staff. Bin... Ich bin am Überlegen, ob man die Tasche irgendwie anders drehen würde, ob das dann zustande kommen würde. Ach, gucke an, hier ist der Bulle. Das ist von dem Plating. She would like to know if she may be excused from the set now. Oh, of course, dear lady. We shan't hold you up any longer. I'm quite sure His Excellency is about to give his final ruling anyway. What's your thinking on this, Ryunosuke? Do you believe this burn does have something to do with the case? To be honest, I'm not really sure. But if I don't keep pushing, then it's all over. So I was thinking I should keep digging and digging, in the hope that I might uncover something useful. Yes, you're right. I am. If we can just link the burn to the case, if we can do that, we might be able to prise the shutting door back open again. Just give up, Counsel. You can't possibly hope to do that. Indeed, I'm afraid that without evidence, I can't allow you to pursue what is little more than conjecture. But if we had evidence that irrefutable linked the burn on the victim's wrist to the case, then you would allow it? I would, yes. To tell the truth, I hadn't noticed that burn. But as soon as you pointed it out, what I did notice was the color draining from Miss Bratt's face. Really? I have to find some link between the burn and the case. This is the moment of truth. It's time to find some evidence that proves what the burn really means. So then, the defense will now present its evidence to the court. The evidence that demonstrates an inextricable connection between the victim's burn and this trial. What's this, Counsel? Yet another print? Yes, Your Excellency. I believe photographic prints are an amazing invention. When we humans look at the scene, we miss things. But in a photograph, things we may have overlooked at the time are recorded forevermore. Do hurry up, Rookie. What are you trying to say? To inconvenience this poor lady any further really would be quite inexcusable. Actually, we may need you to stay with us a little longer, if you don't mind, Miss Bratt. You see, it's very clearly visible in this other photograph. How did the victim come to have that unusual shaped burn on his wrist? The reason is recorded here forevermore. What? How? You can't fool me with your little bluffs, boy. If that's your game, then let's see how it plays out. Show the court exactly what you mean. What is it in this photograph that explains the reason for the victim's burn? The beefsteak? Actually, the point is the metal plate the steak was served on. The plate? Your Excellency, are you right? As you can see, there is an emblem on the plate. I would guess it's some sort of trademark of Lord Cornwall. This emblem on the plate and the victim's burn are exactly the same shape. Ryunosuke, you genius. You're spot on. Which means the victim must have suffered this burn while he was present at the restaurant. But even if that is the case, we can't know if it happened on the day in question or not. It could have been the day before or the day before that. It most likely happened at some other unrelated time. Well, sadly, prosecutor, the chances of that are extremely slim. Thanks. Why? The outline of the burn is clearly discernible. Such a serious injury would have caused quite a commotion in the restaurant. Wouldn't you agree, Inspector Hosonaga? I can't imagine having missed such a terrible disaster suddenly. But... I would say, looking at the picture of the wound, that it wasn't suffered very long ago. And although it's not a particularly large burn, it's extremely well defined, as the defense just pointed out. This was no mild burn, that's for sure. Can you be more specific, Inspector? Well, let's see. If the plate was at around 90 degrees centigrade, a burn like that would have taken around 3 seconds. It's inconceivable that the victim wouldn't have let out a scream of pain then. I've been investigating at the restaurant for several weeks already, but I've not heard anyone scream at all. As the head waiter of La Carnival, I can testify to that without hesitation. But you're a detective, not a waiter. There you have it, something isn't right here. As the detective said, anyone who burned themselves on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds would scream in pain. There's no question of that. And yet Inspector Hosonaga never heard the professor scream, not on that day or any before it. That's right, and the strange thing is, on the day he was shot, I didn't hear him cry out either. What are you suggesting? Well, if the professor had carelessly laid his wrist on the plate for anything like 3 seconds a day, that would be beyond careless, I think, Counsel. Then the rest of us in the restaurant, myself, the surgeon and the old antiques dealer, and all of us would, without any question, have heard him scream. Wouldn't you agree, Prosecutor? Well, yes, I suppose. So the question is, why didn't a single person hear Dr. Wilson scream? I almost don't believe it. Ryunosuke, do you think... Can it really be true? I never dreamt we would arrive at a conclusion like this, but I'm starting to think that maybe we've been led into a terrible trap. There's only one explanation I can think of to make sense of this apparent impossibility. On the day in question, when he suffered the burn to his wrist, Dr. Wilson was already deceased. No man could remain silent while his wrist was burning on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds. That's clearly impossible. Apart from in one particular situation. Counsel, are you suggesting... Yes, it's only possible if the man was already dead. Knowing what we know now, it's the only possible explanation. When the beefsteak was brought to Dr. Wilson's table that day, the professor was already dead. Counsel, explain this absurd notion at once. The victim was killed by a gunshot. That's right, that's absolutely right, Your Excellency. This is just another ridiculous ploy by the rookie student, but clearly he has no grasp of the facts. No, Prosecutor, it's you who has no grasp of the facts. I beg your pardon. As soon as it became apparent that the victim had suffered the burn while at the restaurant, this whole case was turned upside down. Or have you not grasped that yet? Your Excellency, the court must hear from this witness again. If it's true, as we now believe, that the victim was already dead before the gunshot was heard, it's highly likely that Miss Brett knows something about it. Incredible. I certainly didn't anticipate this twist of events. I am sorry to say, Miss Brett, that you will have to forget your luncheon engagement. But Your Excellency... The justice system in our country may be in its infancy, but rest assured, all reasonable doubt must be dispelled before I'm prepared to pass judgment. Thank you, Your Excellency. What was that smile? Yes, of course. I mean, I would be delighted to help. Especially if it helps relations between my country and yours. Oh, Miss Brad, you speak Japanese? Well, of course I do. I'm studying in your country after all. But then, why have you been speaking through an interpreter until now? My mother tongue, the Queen's English, is the most refined and elegant language in the world. As a gentlewoman, I try to avoid speaking in your vulgar tones as much as possible. Mein Gott, wie eingebildet kann man eigentlich sein? But it seems the man in this land possesses none of the chivalrous virtues of English gentlemen, so I can see that I shall have to lower myself to communication with you all on your own level. Meine Güte. You're the epitome of a true English gentlewoman. We're truly honored by this lavish consideration you so graciously afford us. In that case, Miss Brett, I will now ask you to testify in your own words about the events leading up to the death of the victim, Dr. Wilson. So, we're finally going to hear her own words on the matter. Things are getting interesting, Ryunosuke. Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man burned his wrist like that. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway. Tja, du könntest ihn auch vergiften, ne? That most captivating and beautiful testimony will go down in the Supreme Court history, thank you. Easy does it. I hope that this is the last time I will have to sully my lips with the chorus tones of your unbecoming tongue. Oh, forgive me. I do hope I haven't insulted anyone. Not at all, not at all. It is a delight merely to hear you speak, dear lady. And it seems very clear from your testimony that this boorish talk of the victim's burn is utterly irrelevant. I will be speaking to your country's Minister of Justice about what has happened here today. The Minister of Justice? May that irritating little bully of a student be given the harshest punishment possible. Amen. Amen. Thanks? Was that a prayer then? Well, you will have to forgive the irritation, Miss Brad, and put up with a cross-examination now. Examination. I expect you've noticed that this little bully of a student, as you put it, doesn't miss much. I'm sure I don't need to remind you, counsel, that this will be your final cross-examination in this trial. If you fail to demonstrate any problems with this witness's testimony, I will be ruling on the case immediately. Is that clear? What? Okay. Yes, Your Excellency. Damit hätte ich jetzt gar nicht gerechnet, dass er sich selber eine batscht. Then you may proceed with the cross-examination. Boah, kennt man das? Ich weiß nicht, aber das kennt man, wenn man manchmal so durcharbeitet und versucht, sich irgendwie noch länger zu konzentrieren und bei der Sache zu bleiben. Dann mache ich das auch manchmal, dass ich mir einmal links und rechts einmal so leicht eine mitgebe. Eher selten, aber passiert manchmal. Unfortunately, I have no idea. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death Besides the gunshot. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. But of course, this country's techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway. Inferior, what do you mean by that? In the lands of the Great British Empire, the police store everything found at a crime scene for later examination. But in this country, you investigate once and that's the end of it, isn't that though? So? Quite right, La Carnival is open for business as usual today, just days after the incident. Exactly, which means that even if the investigation takes a different direction, vital evidence may be lost. It doesn't even occur to your naive detectives to try to preserve the crime scene. I'm trying to be as tactful about this as I can, you understand? A killer blow, the lady is as formidable as she's beautiful. Amazing. He's actually admitting our police may be flawed. Perhaps prosecutor is finally starting to see sense. Ja, ich avoide absichtlich den Namen nicht vorzulesen. I very much doubt that. Still, there's something about what Miss Brett just said. There was a moment before when something didn't seem quite right. What do you think, Ryunosuke? I think it's going terribly. No matter how much I press her, I'm not turning up any new information. Yes, as I suspected, she's a tough witness. We need to find a way to break her testimony, or the cross-examination will be over. But that would mean I have to find a way. There must be some clue somewhere to help us find the chink in her armor. Kazuma. What, Ryunosuke? There is one thing I noticed. Something that's been bothering me. Bothering you? You mean about Miss Brett? Actually, no. About the person standing next to her, Inspector Hosonaga. The detective? Yes, he seemed to react a little strangely to Miss Brett's last statement. I was wondering if it might be significant. If it might present an opening, maybe. Alright, I have an idea. Try pressing her on that last statement one more time. If you think so, but this time, instead of targeting the woman herself. Let's see what we can get out of the detective. Alright then. I wonder what Kazuma's thinking. I will find out soon enough, I suppose. Once I press Miss Brett on her last statement again. Okay, dann machen wir das jetzt nochmal. Lass uns mal zu dem letzten hier gehen. Weil bei den ganzen Sachen davor können wir eben nichts beweisen, weil unsere Beweise nichts hergeben. Und ich auch nicht weiß, was ich aus ihr rausbringen, also aus ihr rauskitzeln sollte, wenn ich sie da weiter befrage. Also das letzte hier ist eigentlich so das Einzige, was man fragen kann.
Warte.
Ah, hier, der Satz, vital evidence may be lost. Yes, there it is again. The detective's reaction is just the same as before. Why? Up until now, the detective has been in the stand with Miss Brett as her interpreter. But things are very different now. For this testimony, the detective is just listening to what the Englishwoman has to say. This could be a golden opportunity. What do you mean? When people are actually testifying, they are usually very careful not to let anything slip. However, when they are listening to someone else speak, you will find they often let their guard down. You're right, look at him. He's lost in his own thoughts. It's time. Time to pursue the man and his train of thought. Sorry, pursue? I will explain how to do it now, Ryunosuke. It has all to do with the witness marker. What marker? At the moment we are focused on Miss Brett, who's the person actually making the current statement. But by moving the marker left and right with AD, you can turn your attention to other people in the stand. While you're looking at the other witnesses, you will be able to pursue them with space. If you can catch the person at just the right time, you might uncover some new information to pursue. If you ever notice a strange atmosphere amongst the people on the stand, take a good look around. Alright then, so first I should move the marker across with AD and focus on the detective. Then pursue him with space and see what's on his mind. Here we go. Oh, this is cool. This is a coolest feature. What's the meaning of this? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to shock you. He really was lost in his thoughts, deeply. It looked like you were thinking something just now, Inspector. Perhaps having heard what the lady next to you had to say? If there's something you would like to say, please share it with the court. What is the meaning of this? It's a delightful Englishwoman who's testifying at the moment. If you can't find fault with her testimony, then the cross-examination should be over immediately. Oh, is that how it works? Absolutely not. The detective is in the stand, which makes him a valid witness. Yes, not to mention the fact that he's intimately involved in the case. Inspector Hosonaga. Yes? Do you have something to add in relation to the statement just made by Miss Brad? Well, yes, if you don't mind, I would like to speak. The lady is right. Our country's police practices are not as modern as those used in Great Britain. Which is why I, Satoru Hosonaga, always strive to make every investigation I'm involved in flawless. What do you really mean by that? I will tell you what I mean. I won't have evidence lacking on my watch. I'm not afraid to take everything I can from the scene of the crime. It's preserving evidence, you see? I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief. I'm not ashamed of what I've done. A crime scene thief? Well, it looks like the lady's remarks touched a nerve there. Take this, for example. Is that... This is the bottle of carbonated water that I took to the victim's table on the day in question. And yes, it's lost all of its fizz, having been opened 3 days ago now, but it was carbonated water. I don't care what anyone says. Yes, there's some left in the bottle, I can see it. One day our police force will be among the best in the world. The time is coming, I guarantee it. I can say I condone the witness's actions, but I understand this sentiment. The court will accept the glass bottle of water as evidence. Okay, dann lass uns das gleich mal untersuchen. Das hier einmal angucken. Muss ich hier wieder hier mit und Space war das, naja, Space. The label is written in a foreign language that I don't recognize. Do you know what it says, Kazuma? I think it's French. This must be very expensive water. Yes, but what does it say? That's what I was asking. Then go to France and ask. Just say that you don't know. Okay. Kann ich mir vielleicht hier vielleicht die Flasche hier so angucken? Von oben? Ja? Was ist denn dieser... Wieso ist es denn da so grünlich? Das sieht mir jetzt eigentlich nicht aus wie so ein Schattenschimmer. Das ist... Oben an der Flasche ist das auch. Aber wieso darf ich mir das nicht angucken? Oder darf ich mir das angucken? Nee. So this carbonated water is the last drink Dr. Wilson ever had. It looks like there's a little left in the bottle, also it's just plain water now. You know, I've been sweating so much, I'm absolutely parched. I will just have a sip of this to keep me going. No, Ryunosuke, you can't do that. For one thing, that's evidence. You can't go drinking evidence. Oh, no, you're right. We don't know what might be inside, do we? You never cease to amaze me, Ryunosuke, in more ways than one. I wonder, could there be anything in this water? What's the matter? You've gone quiet all of a sudden. I think I might have just worked something out. An interesting possibility. Ja, es ist für mich... Es ist sehr, sehr komisch, diese ganzen grünen Flecken hier überall auf der Flasche. Ich glaube, dass die Flasche vergiftet war. Can you confirm this is indeed the bottle from which you drank on the day of the victim's death? Yes, it was that bottle. Und das würde vielleicht auch erklären, warum der Detective krank ist. Vielleicht, weil er die ganze Zeit die Flasche mit sich rumschleppt. What was that about? She seemed to avert her eyes when she answered the judge's question. Very well, counsel, you may resume the cross-examination. And the inspector will kindly control his fervor. Und jetzt habe ich nämlich einen Beweis für ihre Aussage. Here, if there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. Und jetzt können wir die Flasche hier, glaube ich, vorzeigen. What is this? The bottle of water? Actually, there is one method of killing a man without leaving a trace that comes to mind. Obviously, I'm referring to poison. Poison? On the day of his death, we know that Dr. Wilson drank from his bottle of carbonated water. Could it be that there was poison inside? Could it be that the professor actually died after taking a sip from his glass? And on that day, who was sitting at the same table as the professor and able to slip the poison into his drink? There's only one person who could possibly have done that. Cecile Brad, it was you. This is outrageous to suggest such a thing without a scrape of evidence. You little rookie. Imbecile, have you even considered the delicate situation our country finds itself in now? Have you forgotten that we have only just signed an accord of friendship with the Britain Empire? Have you even the vaguest inkling that your rash accusations could jeopardize the entire treaty? Mein Gott, das waren gerade viel zu viele Wörter, die nicht so oft im alltäglichen Gebrauch vorkommen. This is not a political arena. This is a trial to determine one individual's guilt with respect to one crime. The fact that this woman is British makes no difference. We are here to determine the truth. If I may, I will silence you forever for this disgraceful... It is you who should be silent. Of course. Dear lady. Where did that come from? She just snapped. I'm afraid I may have spoken unfairly before. I offer my most humble apologies. I'm sorry, my lady. To what are you referring? I described your police forces as inferior, but no matter how inferior they may be, you still investigated this particular point thoughtfully, I believe. The bottle, I mean, Inspector, and whether it contained poison or not. Of course. You did? Have you forgotten what my guiding principle is already? I strive for a flawless investigation every time. I don't believe it. Naturally, we tested the inside of the bottle and its contents. And what did you find, Inspector? I ordered tests for every toxin that's available in this country at the present time. We could find no trace of poison of any description in the bottle of carbonated water, Your Excellency. Ja, aber doch nur was man hier in Japan bekommen könnte. Was ist denn, wenn die das schon mitgebracht hat? What? Are you sure? The tests were meticulously carried out by the chief coroner himself. I'm very grateful to all you Japanese. You've successfully established my complete innocence on this horrid affair. Thank you. But of course, dear lady, the pleasure was all ours. I was so sure. This can't be right. Everything falls into place if he was poisoned. Thank you, counsel. I think the cross-examination has clarified everything. As the prosecution have asserted, a shot to the chest from this gun is the only conceivable cause of death. Furthermore, the accused, who by his own admission was holding this weapon, is the only possible culprit. I am done for. The court wishes to apologize for the great inconveniences this has caused you, Miss Brett. Oh no, I'm just glad the matter is resolved. Before proceeding, I must ask the counsel for the defense. Do you have any further new evidence to present the court at this point? Kazuma? I'm sorry, Ryunosuke. I have nothing more. Well, if you excuse me now, I really must be leaving. Please wait. Isn't that... What is the meaning of this? Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. Susato Mikotoba, judicial assistant to the defense. Mikotoba? In my darkest hour, with nowhere left to go, she appeared like a bolt of lightning. And in her hand, she carried a small package wrapped in a furoshiki cloth. To be continued. Also ich muss sagen, mir gefallen diese Verhandlungen schon recht gut. Ich kann es kaum erwarten, dass wenn dieser Fall vorbei ist und wir dann zu der Investigation, zu den Ermittlungen dann kommen, was wir dann wahrscheinlich im zweiten Fall machen dürfen. Da bin ich dann schon sehr, sehr gespannt, wie diese ganzen Ermittlungen vonstatten gehen, weil ich finde jetzt eben schon, wie der Prozess hier aufgebaut ist, das finde ich schon wirklich richtig, richtig cool. Auch wenn die Prozesse sehr, sehr lang sind, muss ich sagen. Da bin ich mir nämlich auch noch nicht ganz so sicher, wie ich das mit zukünftigen Parts machen werde, ob ich da dann eventuell eben doch mal in der Verhandlung cutten werde, weil die Parts eben doch schon recht lang so sind. Und da muss ich mal gucken, wie ich das mache. Aber ich finde, bisher gefällt mir das Game richtig, richtig gut. Ich finde es klasse, wie es gemacht ist. Ich finde es klasse, wie es aufgebaut ist. Ich finde, also die Charakteranimation finde ich nicht schlecht, finde ich sehr gut gemacht. Ich finde auch die ganzen Gespräche, also wie man, ich finde es mehr detailreich und lebhafter, muss ich sagen, wie jetzt im Vergleich zu den Ace-Attorney-Teilen, die ich eben kenne, also mein Gott, ich kann auch schon nicht mehr reden. Phoenix Wright Ace-Attorney Trilogie, die Spiele und Apollo Justice hatte ich ja gespielt. Und jetzt im Vergleich dazu finde ich dieses Spiel hier, The Great Ace-Attorney Chronicles, bisher schon sehr viel tiefgründiger mit den Gesprächen, oder nicht tiefgründiger ist, glaube ich, nicht das richtige Wort, aber die Gespräche, es ist eben nicht so, ich weiß nicht, wie ich das richtig erklären soll, nicht so kurz gehalten, finde ich. Ich finde, die Gespräche sind allgemein viel, viel länger, was natürlich auch die Verhandlungen in die Länge ziehen, ist ja logisch. Aber das gefällt mir alles bisher sehr, sehr gut und der Prozess ist immer noch nicht vorbei. Ich finde das auch, bin auch eigentlich schon fast begeistert davon, dass der Tutorial-Fall so lange dauert. Möchte ich mich nicht beschweren, ist mehr Gameplay und mehr Spielstunden für mich. Deswegen finde ich das gar nicht mal so schlimm. Aber hier gibt es jetzt erstmal wieder einen Cut und mal gucken, wie die Verhandlung weitergehen wird. Also für mich ist diese Gentlewoman, wie man sie so gerne bezeichnet hat, definitiv die Schuldige. Und für mich die wahre Mörderin. Das steht außer Frage. Und ich bin mal gespannt, ob wir dann im nächsten Part, in der nächsten Verhandlung, das Ganze ihr auch nachweisen könnten. Wie immer bedanke ich mich ganz herzlich fürs Zusehen, hoffe ihr hattet Spaß. Und wenn ihr mögt, sehen wir uns sehr, sehr gerne im nächsten Part wieder. Bis dahin, ciao!